Hey party people, welcome back to yet another video. In this one, I am going to be ranking all of the Call of Duty Black Ops 4 Zombies maps. There are a total of 8 maps in this game, which are pretty varied from either being some of the best maps or some of the worst maps at the same time. When deciding how good a map truly is, I feel as if you have to take these 3 things into consideration. 1. How good is the map layout? 2. Is the Easter egg / the side quests fun? And 3. This only goes for the Ether, by the way. Is it a valid reimagining of the map? These are all pretty big things that I'll be taking into account. Just as a side thing though, I'll be taking a look at how well each map does progressing the story. I don't think this should be a huge point because not everyone cares about the story, but I'll still take it into account. For instance, if a map relies too much on the story and the gameplay sucks, then I'm not going to rank it very high. Because, I mean, like, let's be real, gameplay reigns supreme. But with all of that said, let's finally get into the ranking. To start us off, we have the disappointments. Like my parents always call me, the disappointments are the letdowns. These are the maps that if they disappeared today, I literally wouldn't bat an eye at. So to start off our disappointments tier, we've got... Okay, before you guys start getting your pitchforks out and start writing a mean comment, hear me out, alright? It's just a joke. 9 ain't the worst map in this game. You should have seen the look on y'all's faces. You can start deleting your comments now, you 9 simps. But for real this time. Voyage of Despair. Okay, let's be honest now. Are y'all really that surprised that I ranked it last? This map unfortunately has a ton of flaws with it, the biggest one being the map layout. You literally had so much potential for an amazing map. I mean, hell, it's literally on the Titanic for Christ's sake. But they managed to mess it up so bad that it's not even funny. If you have never played this map before, I really wouldn't blame you for getting lost. The majority of the rooms on this map look the same and most of them actually don't serve a purpose at all. The wonder weapon, the Kraken, overall is pretty underwhelming. By itself, it's just a worse version of the Helion Salvo, but fortunately, it has 4 variants. The Ice, Fire, Electric, and Poison. The Ice, when shot, will spawn an ice storm, slowing down all of the zombies for a brief time. Fire is the most like the original Kraken, just with more splash damage. The Electric is just a shotgun. And the Poison is like the original Kraken, but trade out the majority of the splash damage and replace it with piercing damage. Unfortunately, none of these variants do infinite damage, but at least they're kind of fun to use. The Pack-a-Punch, however, is a pain in the rear. It moves around every couple of rounds, but I do have to give it credit where credit is due, however. I do like that it tells you where PAP is located, but we'll get to another map here pretty soon that does this gimmick, but way worse. The boss fight on this map is actually pretty cool, but the Easter egg steps to get there are so ridiculous. One of the steps have you literally shooting planets on the Titanic. I'm sorry, but what the actual f***? None of the steps have anything to do with you being on the Titanic. At least there are a ton of side quests for you to do though, if you can't be bothered to go for high rounds or do the Easter egg. As for the story, it was a good introduction to our 4 main protagonists in the Chaos storyline: Scarlet, Bruno, Shaw, and Diego. Besides introducing the 4 main protagonists, it didn't really do much to further progress the story. It honestly left you with more questions than answers, or for you even wanting more of the Chaos storyline. Voyage of Despair has a terrible map layout, pretty bad Easter egg steps, and the middest wonder weapon ever. There really isn't much more for me to add to what's already been said. It's just a bad map. Okay. I know I may get some flack for putting this map so low, but I don't give a I know objectively Voyage is a worse map, but there is no other map in this game that makes me more enraged than Classified. This is a reimagining of the map 5 from Call of Duty Black Ops 1, which is placed in the Pentagon. 5 was and still is one of my favorite maps of all time, but my god, they did a terrible job reimagining this map. Before I get into the negatives, let me quickly go over the positives. 1. Teleporting. They improved one of the few complaints I had about 5, which was the teleporting. On that map, you would walk into the teleporter, then end up in a random location. But in Classified, it'll show you where you're going. This is a nice addition because that was one of the core issues that 5 had to begin with. 2. They buffed the Winter's Howl. In the map 5, it introduced us to quite possibly the worst wonder weapon of all time, the Winter's Howl. Picture the original ray gun, but does less damage and has less ammo. That's essentially the Winter's Howl. But in Classified, they buffed it to be slightly better than the ray gun, but at least the weapon can now stand on its own 2 feet. Lastly, number 3, the music. The music on Classified, I will admit, is pretty banging. For instance, the intro cutscene alone is a banger. Then we have the elevator music. Just take a listen. Okay, now moving on to the negatives. On the map 5, they had President John F. Kennedy, who was the president at the time, Robert McNamara, who was the Secretary of Defense, Richard Nixon, who later became the president, then finally Fidel Castro, who was the Prime Minister of Cuba. These characters were an oddball group to say the very least, but my god were they some of the best characters in Call of Duty Zombies history. I completely understand that it makes sense to put the original crew in their place, but come on, man. The characters in 5 were some of the most iconic and funny characters to this date. They had so many good voice lines.
Need some beans for the chowder here. Fail miserably, achieve greatly. Calm your liver, Mr. Wiggles. I veto you, Bucks. Pain is temporary, pride is forever.
Not to mention it made so much more sense to have the presidents of the United States in the Pentagon. Which, actually speaking about the Pentagon, on 5, there was a very unique mid-round boss. His name was the Pentagon Thief. His gimmick is he would steal your weapon if he caught up to you. Now this sounds really annoying, but if you kill him before he reaches you, he will drop a max ammo and a bonfire sale, of course decreasing price in the Pack-a-Punch. He was an actual fun, unique, and challenging boss. Where is he on Classified? Homie is literally in the intro cutscene. Oh, but don't worry guys, you want to know what they replaced him with? Dogs. They for real had to replace one of the coolest mid-round bosses of all time. It's so disappointing. Fun fact, 5 didn't actually have an Easter egg, so it's pretty cool that they added one to Classified. What are the steps to do it? What the f***? How are you gonna make the only step in the Easter egg to get to round 150? Like, I know the average Zombies player is not gonna go out of their way to complete this one. Best part, you know what you get for completing the Easter egg? An 86-second long cutscene that isn't even that great. Okay, so this may be a very hot take, but I really don't like the new rooms they added. It takes away a lot of the challenge that 5 was known for. It was challenging because it was cramped and you had to use every resource at your disposal. The addition to Groom Lake for Pack-a-Punch was fine and all, but having Pack-a-Punch not be in the DevCon room leaves that place super barren. Like, besides grabbing the teleporter part, what's the purpose of going back in that room? But on 5, the rush of adrenaline you had when you were just waiting for those doors to open and the zombies would flood in is just a feeling that is unmatched, but yet it's another thing that is ruined by Classified. This map didn't really add much to the Ether storyline anyways. It was just a branching point between Blood of the Dead and Alpha Omega. Classified literally lost all of its personality that 5 had, so it's just a bland, mediocre map now. Just imagine, right, if we compare 5 to a map like, oh, I don't know, maybe Mob of the Dead, and let's say Treyarch remasters it and takes away every good, unique thing that made Mob of the Dead so fun, or just straight up just makes it worse, that sounds pretty bad, right? Oh, wait a minute. Blood of the Dead, one of the most wanted and anticipated maps of all time. People were rallying in the streets for a remaster of the goated Zombies map, Mob of the Dead. Everyone couldn't wait until this map came out. I mean, literally just look at Milo and Lex's reaction to this map. To say everyone couldn't wait for this map to come out would be an understatement. And then, on October 12th, 2018, everyone had one word to say about Blood of the Dead after that day. Disappointment. Oh man, what a letdown this map was. That whole atmosphere, you being stuck in a hell-ridden prison on an island, just brought such a unique feeling. Sure, Blood of the Dead sells you on the whole you being in hell gimmick, but it just doesn't really hit the same. Mob of the Dead is one of the best maps of all time. The map flowed so smoothly, and it introduced us to one of the best wonder weapons of all time. The characters were super memorable, and had an amazing map gimmick in the Afterlife system. But when the developers were designing Blood of the Dead, they really said, okay, let's remove one of the integral parts that made Mob of the Dead so great, and let's rework it into a lesser, more stupider gimmick. And with that said, I introduce to you guys the Afterlife Shield.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
What were they thinking when making this thing? My god. When you look through the shield, it brings you into the afterlife. The afterlife is used for the majority of the Easter egg steps, or even just progressing through the map. This sounds annoying not only because do you have to hold it out for the entirety of the match, but you also have Mob of the Dead just sitting there, where in that game, the afterlife system is integrated so smoothly and isn't an inconvenience to the player. Which actually, speaking of an inconvenience to the player, oh boy, look, it's Pack-a-Punch. In order to turn on Pap, you have to shoot it with a charge shot of the shield, and boom, it's on. Everything is fine and dandy for a couple of rounds, then you go to Pap your gun again, and hey, wait, what are you doing? And it's gone. Like Voyage of Despair, Pack-a-Punch moves around on this map. Yay, what a fun gimmick. I love those gimmicks where it either moves or just straight up takes away Pack-a-Punch away from you. I really hope there isn't another map that does this, or I'ma be pissed. But unlike the Pack-a-Punch on Voyage, it doesn't tell you where it's at. And considering how large this map is, you have to go around and guess and check where it's at, and eventually you'll find it. But not to mention, if you're flipping through the rounds, the Pack-a-Punch could move, so you would have to check those spots all over again. Pack-a-Punch was so much simpler and cooler on Mob of the Dead. You literally flew a plane into the Golden Gate Bridge, and whoa, look, there's Pack-a-Punch, and oh my god, it doesn't move! So yet another thing that they butchered hard in Blood was the Hell's Retriever and Hell's Redeemer. In Mob of the Dead, you'd fill up 3 dog heads to get the best tactical weapon ever. Now, in Black Ops 4, they nerfed the Hell's Retriever and Hell's Redeemer for some odd reason. There is literally no incentive to getting them if you're just casually playing because the Wraith Fires are infinite killing. The only good use for them is for the Easter egg because guess what? They're required. Which, speaking about the Easter egg, y'all already know what I'm about to say. This quite possibly has to be one of the worst Easter eggs. The storyline stuff is cool, but my god are the steps so bad. Remember every negative thing that I've named so far? Well, get ready to be using them for the entirety of the Easter egg. I do have to give it a sliver of credit though. There are some pretty cool steps, like the one where you escort the ghost and the other ghosts are cheering him on. That's pretty sick. This Easter egg has a lot of memorable steps, but most of them aren't memorable for a good reason. I'd say besides Tagged or Toten, this map moves the storyline the best. The ending of this map honestly made me and my friend Ian very emotional. Now everything that I've said so far has been pretty negative, but it isn't all that bad. There is still some pretty enjoyable stuff about this map. For instance, the Magma Gat is a pretty sick wonder weapon, just an overall better version of the Acid Gat. I like the amount of side Easter eggs there are as well. Brutus also adds a good challenge to the map. I'm glad one of these remastered maps kept its infamous boss classified. Blood of the Dead is a fine map on its own, but when it's remastered of one of the greatest maps of all time, then you start seeing the cracks show in this map. Okay, so now we're moving out of our disappointments tier and moving into the fun but flawed maps. And to start us off, we've got... Alpha Omega is the third DLC in this game and is a reimagining of the Call of Duty Zombies map Nuketown in Black Ops 2. But don't get it confused with the Nuketown from Black Ops 1, or 2, or 3, or 4, or Cold War. Oh my god, this map is so unoriginal. If you all are familiar with the Nuketown map in the Black Ops games, Nuketown Zombies in Black Ops 2 was a one-to-one recreation of it, but just added with zombies, so you could imagine it was pretty bare bones. But in Alpha Omega, it added a ton of new areas to explore, the biggest addition being able to go into the freaking bunkers. Unfortunately, my biggest complaint with Alpha Omega is the ventilation system. Whatever dev allowed this to get past the drawing board honestly needs to be fired. I mean, personally, I don't think it's as annoying like on Origins, but still, the whole concept of taking Pack-a-Punch away from you is pretty stupid. It wouldn't be as annoying if it didn't happen so often and wasn't so time-consuming. Alpha Omega also added elemental Nova Crawlers. These little are so annoying. Like, again, whoever the dev was that allowed the electric Nova Crawlers to shoot you from the roofs needs to leave. Oh, wait a minute. So far, what I've said has been negative, but one thing I actually really like is the Easter egg. On its own, it's pretty good. It has a few oddball steps, but overall, I would say it's pretty solid. The boss fight with the Avogadro was pretty sick, and it didn't feel like it was dragging at all. It made sure you were on your toes the entire time. But nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing that I have said pales in comparison to my boy Rushmore. Literally one of the funniest NPCs in COD Zombies history. There are over 50 different number combinations you can enter into Rushmore that'll result in giving you money, giving you cheaper perks, slowing down the zombies to round 1 speed, or just straight up having a disco party in the bunker. Rushmore adds a ton of personality to the semi-bland map, which, speaking about bland, are the Wonder Weapons. Yay! The Wonder Weapons on Alpha Omega are variations of the Ray Gun Mark II. We have X, Y, Z, and V. X is an explosive Mark II, Y is a fully auto Mark II, but when Pack-a-Punch you get to dual wield them, Z is just a shotgun Mark II, and finally V is a lightning Mark II that refills its ammo over time. All of these sound really good, but half of these are pretty garbage, and the other half are pretty good and are fairly fun to use. It's pretty unoriginal, all things considered, when you're already taking a variation of a wonder weapon and making more variants off of that variation of a weapon. This map is the definition of originality, but yet I still find some enjoyment out of it. This officially marks the halfway point of the ranking. Everyone give yourself a round of applause for making it this far. This is also a perfect time to give a shout out to the oh wait, there isn't one for this video. Oh, that's alright. To compensate for that, I need your guys' help with something. Currently, less than 5% of you guys are subscribed to the channel. If you aren't a part of the lucky 5%, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the family. Also, if you guys are enjoying this video and would like me to do more of these ranking videos, then make sure to smash that like button. Of course, it gives me feedback whether you would like more of this type of content. But with all of that said, let's get back to the regularly scheduled mayhem of a video this is. Okay, so now we're moving out of the fun but flawed maps and onto our next category, which are the solid maps. These are the maps that have a very strong foundation, but are by no means perfect. To start off this tier, we've got
Frozen Wasteland!
Wasteland? I think you mean Wonderland! I mean, how about all this fabulous snow, huh?
Tag Der Toten was the final DLC for Call of Duty Black Ops 4 Zombies, and was the ending map for the Ether storyline. This map has a very mixed reception. Some people either love it or hate it because of what it could have been. Tag Der Toten is a reimagining of the map Call of the Dead from Call of Duty Black Ops 1. In Call of the Dead, it was placed in the frozen wastelands of Siberia, where it was very dark and foggy. Whereas in Tag Der Toten, it is much more vibrant with the beautiful sun illuminating the map. As unfortunate as it is, we do have to play as the Victus crew, but I don't find them as annoying as they were on Black Ops 2. The original crew of characters on Call of the Dead are miles better than the Victus crew, however. These characters include Sarah Michelle Gellar, Robert Englund, Danny Trejo, and Michael Rooker. Tag Der Toten expanded upon the original quite a bit by adding a whole new facility on the mountain. This facility holds a ton of new stuff up here, which actually makes a new addition to the map feel justifiable. One thing I really love about Tag Der Toten are the challenges. Around the map there are these challenge podiums that you must interact with, then you'll be prompted to do a series of challenges. There are 5 challenge podiums that branch off into 3 mini challenges. In total that means there are 15 challenges for you to do. Each completed challenge will give you a different reward like armor, half price on traps, ice pick that allows you to break out of the ice faster, self-revive, and being able to hold extra snowballs. All of these challenges are unique and aren't hard to do, and they also give you pretty decent rewards, so you actually have an incentive to want to do them. Another thing I really like about Tag der Toten is the fast travel. There are ziplines and flingers to help you traverse the map much faster. Almost every corner you turn around, there are either one of these two things there to help you out. And yet another thing I really like about Tag der Toten is the Easter egg. Unfortunately, there is no boss fight on this map, but the steps are pretty simple and I find them very fun to do. But out of all of those things I just mentioned, my favorite thing about this map is Golden Pack-a-Punch. You only have to Pack-a-Punch once to get your weapon to its full damage, like the good old days. Which, speaking about Pack-a-Punch, it does unfortunately move around on this map, but I honestly don't find it as infuriating as on Blood of the Dead or even Voyage of Despair. The lighthouse will shine down on where Pap is located, and there are a ton of fast travels to get you there quicker. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the things I don't really like. First off, the potential this map had. Throughout the duration of Black Ops 4, they were teasing the Great War map and how we were supposed to be fighting in it. Everyone thought the last map of Call of Duty Black Ops 4 was going to be us fighting in it. Nope, we got Tag instead. Also, the wonder weapons on this map aren't all that great. On Call of the Dead, they had the Scavenger and the VR-11. Now, were these good weapons on that map? God, no, they weren't. But seeing what they did to the Winter's Howl on Classified, bringing those two weapons back was a no-brainer, right? Apparently the devs thought otherwise. The wonder weapons we have on Tag der Toten are the knockoff, great value, Walmart version of the Wunderwaffe, then we have the Snowball Thunder Gun, and then the actual Thunder Gun itself. I'd say out of any map in Call of Duty Zombies history, this map by far has the weirdest and most unnecessary wonder weapon selection of all time. The only one that makes sense is the Thunder Gun, but even then they could have come up with a better concept for a snowball gun than just fusing it with a Thunder Gun. Overall, besides those two things I just mentioned, I'd say Tag der Toten was a pretty faithful remaster and expanded upon it very nicely. Dead of the Night is the first DLC in this game, and it never really got the recognition it deserved. Main reason for that being that Treyarch didn't really promote this map at all. Thanks, Treyarch. But that's why I'm here to bring the spotlight on this map and show it for all of its glory. This map is a prequel to Voyage in 9, which gives context as to what our real mission is here, which is saving Scarlett's dad. This is placed in a magnificent mansion with an absolutely stunning atmosphere. Definitely one of the coolest looking maps ever, but of course, like all of the maps before this, it has its flaws. For instance, if you are a newer player to this map, you aren't going to know what the heck to do. There are a ton of things for you to remember about this map, but I feel like it's unique enough to where it sticks with you. If you don't like this map because the amount of things you have to remember, 1, there are a ton of other maps just like this, and 2, you're honestly probably that one friend that just trains the zombie while your other friend does all the heavy lifting for the Easter egg. I'm looking at you, Ian. Anyways, besides the amount of spawns you have to remember, another complaint is the amount of freaking vampires there are. Once they hit you, you are unable to regenerate your health for an extended period of time. Now, this is annoying on its own, but with the amount of them is just insane. If I had to compare the vampires to another mini-boss, I'd closely resemble them to the denizens on Transit. Unlike the vampires, I really like the addition of the werewolf. He poses a good threat and can be dealt with pretty easily. And speaking about the werewolf, the boss fight against him is pretty sick. But before you get to the boss fight, you have to go through the Easter egg, and some of the steps are a little bogus. For instance, the Zodiac step and the order you're supposed to input the symbols based on the amount of scratch marks are located near it. What has COD Zombies turned into, man? On the whole, however, I would say the Easter egg is pretty solid. One thing an average Zombies player may realize is that the map is quite large, but the layout is actually phenomenal. Here's a demonstration that I drew of the map. Alright, yes, I know, it looks like it was drawn by a toddler. I'm no Vincent van Gogh or a Leonardo da Vinci, but you guys get the point. The blue areas is the mansion, which is the central hub of this map with 3 branching paths. The first one, which is green, is the forest, because, you know, greenery and that type of stuff. Purple being the lab, because freaky stuff happens in there. And gray is for the cemetery, because, you know, death. The red indicates the fast travel points. All of these fast travels loop back to the central area, which is genius. Speaking about genius, the wonder weapon on this map, the Alistair's Folly, is amazing. It's actually pretty solid compared to the rest of the mediocre lineup of wonder weapons in Black Ops 4. It has 4 different attacks when fully upgraded, and each one is as good as the others. I also really like the side Easter eggs on this map. My favorite one being the Savage Impaler. Is the weapon good? No. But is the quest fun? Yeah, I'd say so. Overall, I think this map gets hated on a little bit too much because there are some really enjoyable parts to this map. So, if you guys have been paying attention, you will know that we only have 2 maps left, 9 and Ancient Evil. Let me make this very clear, one of these maps is most certainly better than the other one, and it is not even close. The number 2 map will go under the category of Amazing, and number 1 will go under the category as Goated. So, with that said, coming in at number 2, we have...
9!
I know I may get some heat for this, but if you think 9 is the best map in Black Ops 4, then you honestly need a reality check. Nevertheless, 9 is still an amazing map. This map is placed in the Gladiatorial Coliseum in Egypt. I'd say the biggest compliment I gotta give 9 is the atmosphere and the layout of the map. They really nailed both of these things. Here's yet another demonstration of the map 9. Again, I know it looks like crap. I'm not a very artistic person, guys. If someone asked me to draw a person, I would literally just draw a stick figure, and even then, it still isn't good. This is why I use this as my YouTube icon, because I can't be bothered to draw anything better. Okay, back to the map. The blue is the Colosseum, the red is the pathways that connect everything, and the independent colors correspond to the different gods, Danu, Ra, Zeus, and Odin. Hey, wait a minute, those names sound kind of familiar. Anyways, I don't know if you guys noticed over to the side, it says upper level. 9 actually has a lower level as well. This map flows very...
nice.
The Easter egg is also pretty freaking good. I can't recall any bad steps in my opinion, and that includes the boss fight against the giant elephant as well. 9 also introduced us to challenges on Black Ops 4, and, you know, they're good. I just wish there was a little more variation between the challenges. I feel like I always get the same ones every game with only 1 or 2 different rarely. This map is honestly very simple and easy to understand, but it's also a little too simple. There comes a point where everything gets a little bit boring. This is my biggest critique with 9. I mean, besides the Easter egg, literally what else is there to do? I mean, I know you can finish up your challenges and whatever, but, you know, with the lack of variation between the challenges and the rewards that you get, it gets boring. Not to mention, there are way too many bosses on this map. The gladiators aren't as annoying as the vampires or even the catalyst, but they're pretty up there for me. I honestly find more gladiators spawning in the map on a normal round than on the designated mid-round wave for them. And don't even get me started on 9's wonder weapon. This weapon is actually pretty cool looking, but my god, it freaking sucks. I swear the only use for this thing is to stun the zombies so you have enough time to whip out a better weapon. 9 also added something to the storyline, I guess. It added more than Voyage of Despair, but then again, that isn't a very hard task to do. I know I'm making 9 sound like it's a very bad map, but don't get it twisted. This map is amazing. I just wanted to make that very clear. But it isn't number 1 material. Speaking about number 1... To all of my fellas out there that love Ancient Evil, we win it today, baby. Jason Blundell absolutely cooked with this map.
I like to watch. I want to watch you boil.
I truly do believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that Ancient Evil is the best map in Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and I'll go over why. 1. The Wonder Weapons. Holy crap, the Wonder Weapons on this map are sick! I truly do believe these are the best 4 set of Wonder Weapons that we have ever seen so far. These 4 include Gaia, Charon, Chimera, and Aranos. The gauntlets are honestly even better than the bows and the staffs. I don't care, you Origins and Horizon Drac lovers, attack me in the comments, I'm ready for y'all. The quests to get all 4 of the gauntlets are also super duper easy. If I had to rank these gauntlets from worst to best, it would probably go in this order. Earth, then Light, then Wind, and finally Death. I believe these are the best 4 set of wonder weapons we have ever seen because they are so versatile, and the only not so great one is the Earth, but even the gauntlet's lows aren't as low as the bows or even the staffs. And of course, with how lackluster the wonder weapons are in Black Ops 4, the gauntlets almost beat out all of the other ones. My only complaint with them is the ammo. That's honestly about it. 2. Atmosphere and map layout. I absolutely love the atmosphere on this map. This map takes place in Delphi, Greece, and oh my god, it is so stunning. The mixture between the luscious Greek statues on the light side, then riding freaking Pegasus into the dark side where it is filled with dread and darkness, this mixture of the two areas is a very nice contrast that keeps the atmosphere very interesting. And with these two areas brings an interesting and dynamic map layout that surprisingly meshes very well. 3. The challenges. The challenges on Ancient Evil were an expansion of the challenges on 9. They're more diverse challenges, and it has a better system as a whole. How the challenges work on Ancient Evil is you will start a challenge, then you'll have X amount of time to do whatever it asks of you. Depending on how well you'll do, your reward will rank up. 4. The Easter egg. The Easter egg, in my opinion, was the best out of any in this game. Every single step was super fun to do. My favorite one being the hit your mark step, where if you are playing with your friends, each of you have to go into the amphitheater and have to shoot the zombies with the correct attack from the gauntlet you wield. This Easter egg is truly goated, and it gets even better with the boss fight. This is a 2-stage boss fight where you will first fight Pegasus and then you will fight the zombie warlord. Both stages of the fight leave you on your toes and doesn't drag at all. Throughout both stages, the 3 islands that you will fight on will slowly get destroyed, narrowing down the available safe areas you may rely on. And lastly, number 5, the story. Ancient Evil did the unthinkable. They actually made the Chaos storyline interesting? During Black Ops 4's life cycle, everyone hated the Chaos storyline and just thought it was a boring mashup of maps. But when this map, Ancient Evil, came out, people started to like the Chaos storyline. Unfortunately, however, this was the last map of said storyline, and it left us on a big cliffhanger. This, ironically enough, added the most to the story by ending the story. On the real, though, they poured so much love into this map that it would be so stupid not to put it at number 1. Can't honestly think of a single complaint I have about this map. So, to all of my real Ancient Evil lovers out there, stand up. Alrighty, this is unfortunately going to be the end of the video. Thank you guys so very much for watching to the end. If you would, I would love it if you guys would leave a comment down below of your guys' Black Ops 4 map ranking so we could compare our lists and where they line up. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video. If you did, then absolutely demolish that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You all have a wonderful rest of your day/night, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace out.